Hi everyone, welcome. Happy card making day. I'm really chuffed to be here. I'm Rachel, Merrick Makings. I am from a small town in Queensland, Australia called Toowoomba. And I'm really thrilled to be here today. This is a really exciting day for me. I get to spend the whole day just immersing myself in my craft. I put it aside on my calendar and so the rest of the family know just to leave. So I'm really happy to be here. I wanted to highlight to everybody around the world some of the cultural things that we do in Australia, and one that really stood out for me was around sports. So Aussies are really big on their sports. We have 4 codes of football. So of course you have football, which is soccer, we call it soccer. And then we have rugby union, we have rugby league, and we have a code called AFL. Now AFL is Australian Football League. It is played quite differently to the others. We used to call it aerial ping pong because there is a lot of the ball flying from backwards and forwards over the field. And it started off as VFL, so Victorian Football League. So on the eastern side of Australia, you have 3 main states, as well as Tasmania down the bottom, which is an island. At the top, you have Queensland. In the middle, you have New South Wales. And at the bottom, you have Victoria. So Victoria used to have their own code. It has now gone national, as are all the other codes. So we have pretty much 1 or 2 teams, if not more, from every state that compete in our national competitions. But I do want to talk about rugby league. So I was born in Victoria, but grew up mainly in Queensland and New South Wales, and this is the problem. So there is a competition every year called State of Origin, and the whole idea is it doesn't matter where you currently play as a football player in rugby league, it's where you originated that you possibly could be on the origin team. Now, we have 2 teams. We have Queensland and we have New South Wales. They border each other. It is huge bragging rights to win this competition. Unfortunately, New South Wales didn't win this year. And it is really, if you are from New South Wales or Queensland, it is a big thing. So my husband, born, bred New South Wales mainly, did live in Queensland, but he is a New South Welshman, we call them, or a cockroach. So blues are the colour of New South Wales. It is a light blue and a dark blue. You'll get my hint in a minute. And Queensland are the toads, so they're maroon. So and the reason it's toads is because Queensland has a lot of cane toads. So the maroon, and it is like a dark kind of maroon and white. So I used that inspiration for my cards today. I used the 2 competing colours. And you will see in my video using the colours of boho blue and the navy. Oh, now I've forgotten. Night of navy. Oh, so I'm thinking of old colours. So night of navy and boho blue are the 2 colours for New South Wales, as well as white. And then for Queensland, I chose Moody Mauve, which is more of a soft maroony kind of colour. And then I teamed that with Cherry Cobbler. So you get the light and the dark monochromatic of both. So I hope you enjoy my little story about football and a cultural thing in Australia. One thing I do have to say is I'm a school teacher, and the school I teach at, there is a little bit of friendly rivalry between staff, and we do wear our colours to school on the day of State of Origin. State of Origin's only 3 games, so it's the best of 3 for the winner. And obviously being New South Wales and teaching in Queensland, there's not many of us Blues supporters that come in our Blues, so it's very brave to don the Blues at school. So enjoy my video. It's a very quick and simple card using those colours, and have a great World Cardmaking Day, everybody. Happy crafting. So here are the colours again. So we have Night of Navy, Boho Blue, Cherry Cobbler, and Moody Mauve, which is one of the new in colours. So it's the Boho Blue. We're going to be using the Trucking Along bundle and the Ringed with Nature stamp set as well. Take a Moody Mauve or one of your lighter colours as a card base, then the slightly darker colour, which in this case is the Cherry Cobbler, as a matte to your white background, so basic white cardstock. And then we've got 2 strips which create a block of colour in the Moody Mauve and the Night of Navy. What we're going to create on this card is a stamped background. So you don't need DSP for this one, no designer series paper at all. We're just going to use the Ringed with Nature stamps to create a patterned paper for your background using the basic white. So I'm taking the Moody Mauve and I'm adding in the wooden stump impression stamp, and then I'm going in with a slightly smaller leafy stamp in the darker ink of so that you get that contrast between the 2 colours, and you're filling in the gaps basically. Start with the bigger stamp, fill in the gaps with the slightly smaller stamp. And because this is a card that's going to have the blues on it as well, we're going to use the Boho Blue with the little clustered dots from the Ringed with Nature stamp set as well, and adding that in. You can do this with pretty much any stamp set that has a variety of shapes and stamps, and you just layer it all in. It doesn't matter. No 2 times are going to be exactly the same. And you fill in the gaps and create this DSP for your background. This is a really great way to practice your stamping as well, making sure that you're inking up your images really nicely each time. And I'm simply going to just glue that onto our matting. So you don't want a large border. I will put the dimensions in the at the end of this so that you've got an idea. They are in Australian centimetres. And I put this straight onto our card, so you get kind of like a bordered effect. We are then going to take our 2 pieces of blue cardstock, which are cut to a strip, and I'm going to emboss them, and that's with one of the basic embossing folders. I got that cross hatch one, and I'm going to use the Boho Blue on the Boho Blue, so using the same coloured ink, and I'm going to add it just to the end of each end of this strip. It just adds an interest where it fades from dark, that ombre look, the dark to the light. And I'm going to add it to one end, and you just keep adding layer and layer of ink. And it does highlight that cross-hatched embossed look as well. And you'll see I just keep adding more and more, and then I fade it without a lot of ink on it, fade it into the middle. So you get that real look of ombre. And then without adding extra ink, once I've finished with that cardstock strip, is I'm going to take my circle punch and the punched out white cardstock, and I'm going to just add very gently to the middle of it, going round and round in circles and adding more and more. Do not re-ink, you won't need it, there'll be plenty on your brush. And once you've got some of that on in the centre, pop it to one side. I'm going to use those same dots, and I'm going to add just a little bit more onto this strip. It just adds that extra layer. You don't need to do this, but it does add, I don't know, it's a layering effect that makes it appear more depth to your card. And then I'm just going to pop that one on the Night of Navy matting. And this is actually going to use, going to pop straight onto the card. When you are using well embossed cardstock, make sure that you do use plenty of glue and that you do hold it down onto your matte cardstock as much, like for a couple of seconds, so that it does adhere really well. I'm going to pop this one slightly to the left-hand side so that you've got more of your DSP showing through on the right. I'm going to use the Moody Mauve now to fill in my little truck. So I have already pre-stamped him using Memento Black and just use the punch to punch it out. Now, the Moody Mauve I am stamping off first, so it is a second generation stamp. This just gives it a slightly lighter feel, because you will notice the rings of the tree, when I stamp those, they're quite dark, and I didn't want my truck to be quite as dark. For the sentiment, I'm picking one out of the Trucking Along bundle and just using Memento Black. I'm going to add it to the slightly upper right-hand side of my circle, and you'll see why, because it's kind of sitting above the tray of the ute, or the little truck. We call it a ute here in Australia. I think it's a utility pickup is what that's short for. We shorten everything. I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop this onto here. Utes are something really big in Australia. Young men tend to like to buy them. My son has a Ford Ranger, which is a very big ute. That's my youngest son. He's training to be a mechanic, so cars are his thing. So we're just popping that on the lower section of the card, and it overlaps between the background and that feature strip. Now, a hot little tip for you is to use your Stampin' Blends to colour your rhinestones. So I did grab the slightly darker maroon cherry cobbler, and I am colouring in a couple of those just to add that last little bit of dimension and bling to your card. I'm going to cluster those on my sentiment. So this has been a really fun project to do, mixing the two colours. You wouldn't normally see the two colours together if you were a true blue origin supporter, but that's okay. And I did create one with the opposite, so with the boho blue and Night of Navy, background first, and I'll show those in the clips later. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Here is a list of all of our products, and I hope you enjoy your World Card Making Day.